And I'll address that first. I really honestly believe that I'm not having seizures because of how much I do, but I don't have them anymore. I wasn't having seizures because of how much I do, but rather because of what I was doing. You know, it's like every time I asked God about what was going on, He talked about these spiritual attacks. He talked about, hold on, you know, rejoice through the various trials. It's like that, and He was showing me that the demonic world was really upset after I went to minister at the harbor. And it was from that moment, from that time, that it was just a non-stop attack throughout the whole year. And so definitely it just kept getting harder and harder and harder. And I wondered, what did I do wrong? Well, I don't think it was anything I did wrong. I think it's what I did right. It was the fact that I was out on the streets ministering with intensity. It was the fact that that I wasn't gonna compromise. I was gonna really listen to the gospel. And here's a scripture that I want us to think on, because God has given us a great commission, yeah? And so this is gonna be real fast on my part, but hopefully it's gonna be something that you guys are gonna bring to the table. But in Mark 16:14-16, it says, later as they were eating, Jesus appeared to the 11 and rebuked them for their unbelief and hardness of heart, because they did not believe those who had seen him after he had risen. And he said to them, then go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. You know? It's like, and it's important. It's like people say, you know, why isn't God saving people? It's like, oh, He's definitely done His part. He has definitely done His part. And now He commands His disciples to go into all the world, preach the gospel to every person. Not only do we preach the gospel, but He says in Matthew 28:18-20, then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples. Disciples. That's a little bit different from preaching the gospel. Of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching. See, when I think of preaching the gospel, it's not really teaching. It's just I'll explain later. And teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I'm with you always to the very end of the age. See, I see a difference between hit and run ministry and discipling. And this is where I want to encourage the church. It's like, okay, there's hit and run ministry where we can take food, say to the homeless, right? We can take food and we can take, you know, shampoo, we can take clothes, and it is helpful. We should do those things. We can preach the gospel and tell them about Jesus and lead them in a prayer, which a lot of Christians see as that's the end of the line. That's the end of the line. That's all we have to do, right? And we get all excited. I led somebody to the Lord today. That's great. But if there's not somebody there to live life with them, a lot of times they're going to crumble. They're going to, you know, when it's good, and when it's hard, who's going to be there? Who's going to be there? Everybody should have a disciple in their life. And so here's just a little thing that, you know, somebody said, you know, it's like, hey, you're going to kill yourself doing all of this work. And I was thinking, I guess this is something from Francis Chan I saw. Just imagine, this is my lifespan right here. 70, maybe 100 years, we're pushing it nowadays, yeah? Maybe I'm just like almost all robotic nowadays, like I might have a robotic heart by that time. Maybe I'll live to 120, maybe, I don't know. And then just imagine this line goes all the way out the door. Never ever stops. Never ever stops. And I'm thinking, okay, so I think about the butterfly. In fact, I'm gonna write a song about the butterfly. Because when we were at a botanical garden, there was a lady that came and let us, you know, set the butterflies free that she was taking care of. And I said, how long does the butterfly usually live? And she said, okay, so a butterfly is usually about 2 weeks as a caterpillar, then it's 2 weeks in a cocoon, and then 2 weeks as a butterfly, and then it dies, if it survives that long. Because birds want to eat the butterfly. And the more that you fly, the more chances of being seen, the more chances that you could get eaten. But I was thinking about that. I could try to be a butterfly and hide under a bush and never come out. Even though I was meant to fly, it's like, no, I might get eaten by a bird. I'm just gonna pretend I'm still a caterpillar. Or you just take off and says like, hey, I'm only living 2 weeks anyway, I might as well go. What's the point? It's like, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I was telling my kids, I said, I'm not trying to leave you early. I'm not trying to kill myself. I said, but I don't feel like I should do less. I feel like God is pushing me to do more. I don't feel like I do enough in this world. If I did, I wouldn't see hundreds and thousands of people on their way to hell. Okay, that gets to me. I wouldn't see so many people suffering and nobody there, right? There's such a great need for us to be moving, not sitting under a leaf saying, okay, God created me to fly and do great things, but I don't know, I might die. I've only got 70 to 100 years. And I'm thinking, okay, so I knocked myself out. I'm working, helping. I think of Heidi Baker, and I think of George Mueller, who took in hundreds and thousands of orphans, right? And they didn't have the food, they didn't have the resource. I think of Mother Teresa. I think people would tell them to stop. You're doing too much. You know, it's like, hey, you know, it's like, that's not just for you. I'm guaranteeing you, people thought they were crazy for doing all that they did, and yet God sustained them because they were doing what He calls all of us to do. Move, love, you know, take care of the orphans and the widows, and go and lay your hands on the sick and make disciples. And so I've got 70 years to maybe 100 years, right? And maybe I knock myself out. Maybe I die a little early. Maybe I do. And I'm gonna roll over and I'm gonna stand before the judgment seat of God. Am I gonna be ashamed or regret every decision I made to fly and do everything with all intensity for God? I am not gonna regret it. I'm gonna be standing there and say, okay, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I did a little bit too much. But I'm here. I don't think I'm gonna regret it. And if I leave and my kids don't have a mother, I promise you, I know a God who is faithful, who knows how to be a greater parent than I could ever be. If He taught me and I was just learning from Him, then He's the greatest parent ever. You know, it's like, and they have Him. He'll never leave them. He loves them more than I could ever love them. He formed them. See, I didn't even think of them when they were being created. It wasn't them I was thinking about. I was like, it just happened. But when God was forming them, He was thinking about them. See, I'm just the manager, He's the owner. So in these 70 to 80 years to 100 years, it's so small. And everything I live in this space is going to determine all of eternity. This line never ends. It goes forever and ever. It ends in either heaven or it ends in hell. All of eternity is determined by this little itty bitty space of time. You think the butterfly lives short? You don't even live 1,000 years, and God says it's like, you know what, just a blink for Him, just a blink. He says you're yet just but a vapor, a flower that just quickly fades away. See, to Him, this is probably too big, this little space here. So I'm not trying to live my life and spare my life and live long. If I do, I do. But I'm trying to live my life well. And I'm trying to live it according to His Spirit, and where He leads it, God, where do you want me to go? I'm not even just throwing myself in every form of ministry. It's not about that. Somebody said to me, right, are you trying to save the world? You can't save the world, right? I told the church about that, right? I can't save the world. I said, no, I'm not trying to save the world. I'm just trying to save a few, as many as I can. I can't disciple every person. I can't take every kid off the street. But I'm going to take as many as I can. I'm going to trust God to provide. Eternity matters. See, if I knock myself out because somebody's eternity matters to me, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm not just trying to bless their temporary. I've got their eternity in mind. Okay, so with that, I have a lot of questions from people. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I was getting bombarded by so many voices that said, I think you really should back off from doing so much ministry. I think you really should consider your children. I think you should not maybe take in so many kids. I mean, I had so many things. Don't take in so many kids because your kids are not getting as much time and attention and things like that. And it was so many different people, tons of different people, that I said, you know what? How about we ask the kids? Let's talk to them. So all my children comes and sits up on the stage. I know I saw Dalton. Where's Dalton? Come on, Dalton. Yeah, I saw. Come on, Dalton. Okay, so I asked them to share, and a lot of them said that they're scared. Well, the new ones anyway. My kids, they're not scared. But my Hanai ones, some of them are a little nervous. But I figure we're gonna open it up to them. So, I first asked my children, I said, how do you feel about mom helping so many people? Mom and dad helping so many people and taking in all these other children. Okay, so if you don't know, right, we have 7 birth children, 2 adoptions, and all the rest are Hanai. We've got a total of 15 kids in our house right now. Okay. If you were to see the bedrooms, you would see a very crammed bedroom. And when you see us all in the living room, we're all just, because it's a small house, right? Okay, so I'm gonna start with my children. Would you rather that mom and dad took out all the Wahilani kids, Tito, Kikai, Dalton, and I just concentrate on you 9, the 7 births and the 2 adoptions, right? I said, what if we just go back to when we just had the 9, where you would have more food and you'd have more, if we make a pan of brownies, you get more brownies. You get more clothes, because our money is stretched now more to helping clothe everyone, right? Not as much having to clean up after each other, right? There's less people. Would you rather go back in that time, or how do you feel about that? And so we'll start from there. Would you change it?
No.
Why not?
Because they've been living with us for a long time.
And how do you feel about that?
Good? No, because they've been living with us for a long time, and they move our house, and they move back and forth to the harbor and back to our house.
So I wouldn't go back to those days. I don't even remember those days, and I wouldn't have my best friend to live with me. She's my best friend, and I don't think I would survive high school without her.
I wouldn't want to change that because
like they said, they've been living with us for a long time, and at first it was rough, but then we just got used to each other.
Anybody else want to share my kids? All right, go ahead.
I wouldn't go back in time because two of them are fun and they like to play with toys and everything. And we've been living them for a long time. And if we never had them, it would be not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It would be boring.
Do you think that there's more fighting or more laughing? I'm serious. I see them laughing a lot. They're laughing all the time. All right, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, when someone gets hurt, it's not okay if they laugh or be mean.
That's right. If you get hurt, it's not okay to laugh or be mean. All right, we're gonna ask our second Eli's, our extension. Okay. Okay, so that's to the Wahilani kids and the rest, Tito and Kikai. And where is Dalton? Come on, Dalton. Okay. Anyway, how has meeting our family? Okay, let me explain this. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about hit and run ministry versus discipleship. Discipleship says not that they have to come live with you, but that you are going to adopt them as if they are family, where you're going to live life with them. Not temporarily, it's kind of like forever. It's like you don't just go visit one time, they're part of your life forever. You know, it's like family, like no matter how much family betrays you, you know, that's still your mom, that's still your dad, you know, it's like you're still gonna have a place in your heart for them, and you're still wanting good for them. Okay, so how has coming to meet our family impacted you or changed your life? Oh boy. We were talking about it yesterday. I never even read the responses. I just wanted them to think about it so they would have already mentally thought about it. So I have no idea what they're gonna say. I was just like, well, that's kind of nerve-wracking right there. Yeah, you never know what they're gonna say. But I wanted to just really let it be something from them.
Okay. Well, I also put what I'm thankful for. I put, becoming part of the Eli's family has been the best day of my life. Meeting the Eli's impacted my life by getting me closer to God. They also gave me a loving family and a loving home that I always wanted. I'm super thankful that she took me and my siblings into her home. I'm thankful she let me go to youth camp because it helped me strengthen my walk with God. I'm thankful for Auntie Abby because she was always there when I needed someone to talk to, and she also made time for every single kid. I'm thankful that I met all you and becoming part of your lives. I'm thankful for being part of the Eli's and the Assembly of God family.
Okay, okay, how staying with the Eli's impacted my life was, okay, so, before I knew at the Abbi, I just thought Jesus was some big macho man that you go to after you die. But then, now when I noticed them, and then I saw at the Abbi praying for like weird people, I saw them like I don't know how to explain it. And then when I went to the Ignite conference, when I went to the conference, I saw people just like praying and crying and like they were singing, and I just saw their hands going up in the air, and so I just threw my hands up there because I felt like I had to. So I did that, and then I started thinking about my papa because he's like dying, and then so I just started crying, and I forget my sins, and I told him that I know I'm sin some more. I'm gonna try not to, but I know it's gonna be hard. And like now when I think of it, he's a guy that can heal you, your family members, people around you, people you don't even know, people that you're gonna meet. He's gonna have a big impact on your life if you just trust him and follow him with him. And I wouldn't think of him like that if I didn't meet Auntie Abby. I wouldn't be trying hard to go to school. I probably might not pass this year, but she pushed me. And sometimes I get irritated, but I still gotta do it because she's my auntie and she's stronger than me. So, so I gotta do it anyways. But I gotta do it anyways. And then I feel like school's getting easier in a way, but it's still hard at the same time. It's like irritating. But anyways, yeah. And I wouldn't be trying hard. I wouldn't be keeping focus or knowing Jesus in that way if it wasn't for them. That's it.
Me living with Auntie Abby for 2 years and a half impacted my life because she really changed my perspective towards other people that disrespect you in other ways, and I gained more confidence in myself. And I came from a family that barely cared about my education. Now I'm in a family that really cares. Now I know that Auntie Abby would and will do and wants what's best for me and my sisters. And now that I have because every time I'll ask my mom for a little baby brother, and I met Auntie Abby, and now I have
Staying with Auntie Abby has impacted my life extremely. Before I met Auntie Abby, I was a very angry person. I was very explosive and didn't like people sometimes. When I met Auntie Abby's family, I tried to shut them out and not get too attached. It didn't work. I felt more confident in myself. I was a Christian all my life, but I was forced to go to church. I was forced so much that I almost lost God completely. When Auntie Abby introduced me to God again, I didn't trust yet, but as I grew closer to Auntie Abby and her family, I became closer to God. If I could change one thing, I wouldn't change much, just the size of the house. I would make the house bigger.
Amen.
These are the two shy ones right there. Those are the two that was going to have the hardest time sharing.
Really, it was fun living with Auntie Abby because it taught me a lot how to stop swearing, stealing, lying, disobeying, hating, fighting, and teasing. It was a real love of Auntie Abby to teach me more about God and how to respect Him and how to learn more about Him.
Okay, for Tolkien, let me just ask you some questions, okay? Just ask me. Tell me, how does it feel, how do you feel now living with us? What is one of the main feelings that you feel?
Safe.
Okay, why do you feel safer? Tell us a little bit what your life was like.
Being out on the street. Stealing. Swearing. Smoking.
Did you have anybody that was going to make sure you had meals? What was your birthdays like?
Self-cakes.
Yeah.
Self-sized cakes.
Self-sized cakes. And that was, who bought it for you?
Auntie Twinkle.
So the person that's in charge of the harbor, if he ever had anything for his birthday, and it wasn't always, a lot of times he didn't get something, but if he did, he might just get a little self-sized cake. And that was it. That was the only happy birthday for him. Did you feel like anybody, you know, I know your parents love you. I've met your parents. Or your mom, I've met your mom. I know they do. You know, it's like, but did you feel like somebody really cared? Or was going to look out for you?
Not really.
Yeah. Have you learned anything differently about Jesus by being with us? You don't have to say what you learned, but have you learned? Okay. Have you learned anything about Jesus that you didn't know before?
That rain doesn't come from him.
They used to say, so funny. They used to think that rain was God peeing on us. Not just kidding. Yeah, no, but he said the same thing. When you said it, he said, yeah, me too. That was something they believed when they were younger, but it was like a good laugh anyway. Do you see yourself changing?
Yes.
For the better?
Yes.
Or the worse? Okay, see, that's all you need to do. Okay, this is not a promote Abby thing. I just want you to see something, because it's not me only. He's like right there with me, and they love him, and they're wrestling him all the time and jumping on the bed and him giving them big hugs, even them jumping on his lap. You know, it's like so weird to see these boys, wanted to jump on his lap. But I think that's so cool. Okay, so let's see. Kids, my kids, biological kids. How has watching your parents love and minister to others with the intensity we do, like moving into the harbor, ministering on the streets, has that taught you anything? And if so, what did it teach you? That's true. Right? Okay, so as you watched mom and dad minister in love with intensity, helping people, ministering at the harbor, walking the streets, every time that you saw us loving people, has that taught you anything? And if it did, what did it teach you?
It did. It taught me that you don't need to be afraid to share what you believe, and it increased my courage in this school as well, and everywhere else.
You can. Anybody can actually answer it if you know it. Then yeah.
Okay, so for me, it showed me that God was real. I saw so many miracles in my life through going to the whole harbor, going on the streets and praying for people, than I did being at church. When I was in church, I didn't think God was real. I was just like, I'm here because I have to be here. And then when we started moving out on the streets, we started seeing miracles, and I just started thinking, maybe he is real. Maybe there's something more to God than just going to church.
Okay, so going to the Bull Harbor helped me to be more courageous, and the quote that is found from the movie earlier just came to my mind. It said, if you don't leap, you'll never know what it's like to fly. And also, being at the Bull Harbor lifted my levels of pride, because I had an assignment to do, is the My Name vignette thing. So you have to explain what your name means, where you got it. I don't know where I got it. Oh no, I do. Never mind. And so I put, my name is Melody Eli. I'm the daughter of Abbi and Elton Eli, granddaughter of Calvin and Susan Endo, and Grandpa and Lydia Eli, right? Yeah, Grandpa Clifford. Yeah. And Lydia Guzman. Oh! Okay. I put the wrong one on the paper then. So, yeah, I just put that on there because I felt very prideful about my family and where I come from.
Oh, I'm very proud of your family. I'm gonna have to take butter.
It teaches me that I don't have to be scared of the nights I sleep. It taught me a lot of things because loving people is more important than yourself. And when we went to minister by the park, not McCall Park, the Pilar Park. So we were ministering over there. So when my mom was talking to someone, I saw this man limping, and he had this kneecap on, and we prayed. I was like, Mommy, we should pray for him, and then we went to go pray for him, and then while we were leaving, we saw him jumping up and playing basketball with his friends.
Yeah, that's the guy who had torn his ACL. They prayed for him 3 times, and then he was completely healed, took off his brace and everything. So,
So, when God dies on the cross, he goes to the ground and then comes in heaven. And well, if one of the mommies or daddy die, we'll take over the house.
it's great insight.
We got plans.
Wise one.
I rather have mom and dad help people because God did that for us.
It's good.
When I saw mom ministering or praying for people, it let me see that mom has is kind of like me. She has a strong heart for saving people, and I do for cats.
Anybody else want to share anything before we kind of close this off? And I think I had one more question. It says, have you seen Jesus in our home? And how? I think that was to you guys, yeah? It said, how have you seen or learned something about Jesus by being in the home? Yeah, that's for you guys. That was for you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I have witnessed Jesus in Auntie Abby's house because before I went to Auntie Abby's house, like I said, I wasn't really that strong of a Christian because I was forced. But when I came to Auntie Abby's house, it was more of a I wanted to thing, get closer to him. And I witnessed him at SALT conference. I witnessed him during church. Sometimes when I was sleeping, praying. But but yeah.
What have you learned about Jesus?
for some reason, like how I have witnessed Jesus in in the Abby house. Like whenever I would go there, like before I would go there, like before when she was living at the harbor, Kikai told me to that he made new friends. So I was like, oh okay. So I went over there, and then for some reason, like I liked it. I felt more welcome. So I felt welcome like more than sometimes that my sisters living in the grounds. I felt more welcome than that. So like sometimes I'll sleep there. And I don't know what was about it. I mean, probably because all the pretty girls. But anyways, so I'll sleep over there, and then sometimes I'll go home at 11, maybe later, and then my dad would be like, "Oh Tio, what's up with this Abby family? How can you like it so much?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he'll like how come you can sleep home tonight? And I'm like, oh, okay, well I'll come home late. And he'll like, oh okay, and okay bye. And then like, I came home around 12, so I didn't care because I was like practically sleeping. And then every time I went over at the Abby's, I mean I would like to stay there. I mean I'd stay there, and then like I wanted to live with her at one point, but she didn't know. And then but I was too scared to ask my parents because like all my brothers all moved away from my parents, so I didn't want to do that. But then I found out, they're bad, and then they wasn't putting me in a point where school was really important. They would probably just tell me to go to school and that's it. Like they would, tell me like, oh, school go for at the Abby. So I really liked it. I felt more like she wanted good in my future. So yeah. For some reason, I think I'll like, no, stay here. No, stay here. And I go to my sisters and I come back over and I say like, no, stay here. I saw you doing bad stuff over there.
Couple more. Anybody else? Anybody else can take a few more? Okay, we got Savannah, we got Tiara, and we got Melody. And then we're gonna end that. Savannah, Tiara, Melody.
Can I say what I'm thankful for?
Yeah.
I am thankful for a God sister that has the same birthday as me. And I am thankful for Auntie Abby and Uncle and my other families for helping me to push my homework, like to do my homework in school and to do my schoolwork.
Okay, good. Let's pass it down to Tiara. Keep your time. No, we're only gonna take Tiara and Melody and that'll be it. And the wise one. Okay, good.
Yes, I have witnessed Jesus in our house. Cause we went Kingdom Kids one time, and they were talking about how we should soak in God's presence. But this was before like I was even caring about God that much. So I just wanted to test it. I just wanted to see if it worked. And so I got Isabel and some of the other kids to do it with me. And we laid there, we played soft worship music, and then we laid in the yard. It was funny because we were just laying there doing nothing. And then about 3 hours later, then we all started crying. And yeah.
And you guys got filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and the Holy Spirit.
Melody.
Okay, so I have witnessed Jesus in my home from the book about when I was a baby and stuff like that. Because I'm supposed to be dead, but I'm alive, thanks.
She's witnessed Jesus.
And also when my mom then would take me to church, because I believe I've been here ever since I was born in the church. Yes. And then also the programs that they would take us to, like Kids Crusade and Kids Camp and stuff.
Okay, cool. Just, Elisha, go ahead quickly. Go ahead.
So I witnessed that Jesus is in our house because every time we watch Christian movies, sometimes we watch like Netflix and we watch.
Okay, go ahead.
And then what was the question again?
Just how you witnessed Jesus in our home. What'd you learn about Jesus? What'd you see?
I learned about Jesus is that he loves us, and whatever we do bad, he still loves us in every way. What we do and what we don't do.
Good, good. Okay, Josiah, you're the last one. Let's see. Hear his words of wisdom.
So, when all of us die, we go in heaven.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good.
And then if the church people die, we go in heaven too.
Oh, that's good.
And at the boathouse, if somebody is coughing, you get healed.
Oh, good. That's right. And we're going to pray for them, right? They're going to get healed. All right. Is our home perfect? Is there a lot of love? Yeah. Do we have a lot to learn? Do we have a lot to learn? Okay, now here's one for the ones who moved in. Like, okay, Tito, you've officially been living, even though you've been back and forth but you've been living just about a couple months, but you guys have been back and forth for over a year and a half, yeah? And then the Wahilanis, you've been here with us for 2.5 years. Okay. Did you automatically trust us the minute you met us? Did you trust us after the first day? Did you trust us after the second day? Did you trust us after the first month? Did you trust us after the second month to where you would share everything about your life? No. But as you continued staying, did you learn about Jesus immediately when you first met us? You thought we were conceited. Did it take a while? In other words, okay. All right, you guys can have a seat. I'll share those.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. Thank you. See, that wasn't so hard, right? That wasn't so hard. Okay. All right, have a seat. Okay, you heard a lot of Auntie Abby. That's because these are the ones I'm discipling, right? These are the ones that are like in my life on a daily basis. There are other people I'm discipling that don't live with me, but I'm not trying to reach everyone. I just want you to know, I'm not trying. I might do hit and run ministry with a lot of people. When I minister on the streets and I pray for people and we see a miracle, we plant a seed that God loves them even when they're drunk. God loves them even when they're totally high. God loves them exactly where they're at. We might plant seeds, but these are not my disciples. These are not the ones that I'm living life with. But there's certain ones, as I come across, it's almost like a light goes off. I can just feel it. It's like, you're one I'm supposed to invest my life in. But I'm not the only one supposed to invest my life in someone on that degree. Every one of us should have. So I think about this. We have maybe, 15 kids right now in our house? Okay. If I only, in my whole lifetime, maybe minister to, I will just say, by the time I die, I would have discipled 50 people. Okay, because these are just the 15 right now. I've discipled others, right? Just say 50 people. In my whole lifetime, I only discipled 50 people. And those 50 people disciple 50 people. And those people disciple 50 people in their whole lifetime. That's a massive amount of people. Anybody have a calculator? That's 250 times 50. What is that? I know we did it. We were doing it and just showing the numbers. It was like, well, we got a calculator. 50 times 50 times 50. 12,500 in 3 generations, right? And that's just my life. If you all reach that amount of people in your lifetime, that's what we're supposed to do. You know, hit and run ministry doesn't work that effectively. If I just, preach the gospel and lead them to the Lord, and then I walk out of their life, a lot of them, you know, especially when we come into there and we give them clothes and food. I was telling her, I said, did that impact your life at all? They're like, no, it's just free stuff. I didn't care that they were from a church or what. It's like, never thought differently about God, didn't even have God in the equation. And yet we think that that's what we're called to do only, right? Just do hit and run ministry. But I think we're supposed to do a hit and stay ministry. I just think we're supposed to stay. I think we're supposed to really love people and say, you know what? Because when new people came into our home, even the ones we adopted, even my own children, just new people coming into my home, they came with issues. Every single one of them came with issues. And there was stealing, and there was lying, and there was bad mouthing, and there was attitude, and there was a lot of things that each person brought to the table. And I can say love conquers it all. Consistent love and being there does something. Okay, so I'm just gonna take maybe another 15 minutes. I wanted to have Auntie Jody come and share a little bit of what it looks like. And this is not, like I said, nothing about me, because it was somebody else that impacted her in a massive way. And I just wanted to share from that perspective, how did discipleship impact her versus somebody who kept coming back versus somebody who just did a hit and run ministry.
If you don't know it by now, I am from the heart. It wasn't my choice, it was something that had to be done. The very first months that I was there, I had my 2 children with me. Just telling them that this is not forever, this is just for now. And I told them to just hang in there with me, you know? During the first year that I was there was this big thing going on in the football field. You know, it's like, what is that? You know, it's like, are they having something going on up there? It's like, we're hearing all these things and we're just kind of looking at it, because from where my camp was, I could see. And it's like, wow. And then all these men and boys started coming into the harbor, and it's like, okay, this is kind of weird, because they're coming in from the back end. If anybody ever comes in, it's usually from the front. So we're kind of looking at them and going, okay, why are they here? We're all the way in the back. We're like kind of separated from everybody. From when I was first there was really nobody back there. Everybody was in the front. They came out to invite us to a dinner. So, and it was the next day, so we decided, okay, well, let's go check it out. Let's see what's going on, you know? And I went with a group of people, you know, we kind of like stuck together, you know, it was like clingy. Everybody was clingy. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But when we got there, lo and behold, there was somebody just kind of stood out, you know, from everybody else and just welcomed us. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. And he just sat there and he fellowshiped with us. He just talked about anything and everything. And then we shared about how we became homeless and this and that and whatever. And he also shared part of his life too. It's like, wow, his life is not too much different from mine. And it was from there that just sharing the fellowship, it kind of grabbed a hold of my heart. And I said, you know, I really need to commit myself back to the Lord, because I was doing the walk only because I had to. That was back then, because I'm a product of CPS. I lost my 2 younger children. I was an addict. Went through treatment. I stayed in treatment pretty long. My facilitator didn't want to let me go because she still felt I had reserves. But it was Jimmy that made me think about that. I needed to go back. I needed to commit my life back to the Lord because I was in a place that was really scary now. It was really scary for me because everybody looked at me and I stuck out like a sore thumb. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, because they looked at me and said, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. But when I did that, that night, I came to the Lord. Jimmy said the prayer with me and my family. But it wasn't for another year that I would see him again. But before I left, he had invited me to the church. But I didn't take heed in his words. I just figured, okay, I can do this. I know where I left off. And I tried. And I just took the simplest route. I knew I needed to minister to people because I had it all in me. I just kind of shoved it in my back pocket and didn't want anybody to notice. But when I started to, it's like the ones that were being thrown my way were the ones that were the unapproachables, if you guys know what I mean. Because there are some people in there that you don't want to approach them. But it was me that did it. And Abbi was one of them that saw me doing what I was doing. And she was kind of looking at me and I was looking at her. She thought I was strange and I thought she was strange too. And she was thinking the same thing I was thinking about her. What are you doing here? Okay. Learning a lesson, teaching a lesson. But it's like she kind of saw me. She knew I had Jesus in me. And so when we started really talking, it's just amazing. And I was one of them that she took under her wing and she's, you know, I don't know, I felt different with her. It's like I could trust her to understand that my MO is to run. I will run. If things get a little bit too hard, I will run. And there was a promise that I made her, okay, I'm not going to run away anymore. I'm going to run to you. Wrong, I shouldn't have said that. But since then, that's what I've been doing, is run to him.
That's what it's called, tag team ministry. It's like you discipled and stayed, and she said more than once you came, showed up to minister to her, Pastor Julie. And then I met her at the harbor. She was already ministering to a lot of families there. She was the rock for a lot of the families there. And then, you know, I was just able to come, and I told her, I said, it wasn't like I was discipling her, really. It was more like it was a mutual thing. It's like I encouraged her, she encouraged me. You know, it's just a very loving relationship. Just one of those things, again, God just has that light, just it's like, I'm supposed to be a part of your life. You know, well, I mean, we're all supposed to be a part of people's lives, but just the ones that you're supposed to invest your time in, find them. They might not be the ones in your home. Sounds crazy, yeah? Might not be your children. I mean, you love your children, but that might not be the ones you're supposed to invest all your time in because they're totally deaf to hearing God at all. They don't even want it. Find someone else. And I gave this illustration to my kids. I mean, you keep praying for your kids, but there's no sense in trying to pound on a brick wall that doesn't want to be broken, that's going to stay there. You keep praying until God softens that and lets the soil be soft. There's no sense in continuing to drop seeds in a land that is never going to grow. So this is the way I describe this. That if I was on a watchtower and I saw I saw a massive army coming, and they were going to destroy the city. And we knew that they were coming, but we had somebody always watching. And I just happened to be on that watchtower, and I see them. They're on their way. All these torches are lit. They're going to burn down the city. They're going to kill every person in there. So I run down that tower, and I run to the first house. Bam, bam, bam. You right? Bam, bam, bam. We need to go. We need to go. Everybody get up, get up, get up. You need to move. We need to move. And the family gets up, and they're like, don't worry about it. I still have time. Come sit with us. We're watching TV. You're interrupting my favorite show. And I was like, and they're like, we're busy. You know, it's like, we're so busy. And I was like, I'm comfortable. I don't really feel like moving right now at this time of night. It's kind of cold outside. Just sit down and relax. You're just being paranoid. And I could make two decisions. I can sit down and say, you know what? I feel so sick. They don't want to listen, and they're going to die. So I'm just going to suffer and die with them too. Just going to sit here and let it come and let it, you know, since you won't die, I'll be like, I'll stand with you while you die. Kind of thing. I'll sit with you and you know, we'll just do it together. Or I could say, well, that's stupid. This doesn't make any sense. If they won't listen, there's a whole city out there. Maybe one will. Maybe one. And I got to pound on as many doors. I've got to get to as many people in the amount of time that I can to get as many people out of that city. If it's not going to be my children, then move on. If it's not going to be my brothers and sisters, move on. I've taught you the gospel. I've shared with you about Jesus Christ. And you said, I don't want it. That doesn't mean I stop loving them. Never. That doesn't mean I stop praying for them. Never. But I don't invest all my time into continuing to pound something that will never be effective. In fact, you might even do the opposite. You might just be a real nag and make them really want to back off. Unless God is telling you keep, you know, doing something, really pour out your love on someone who, it might be another child on the street. There's another kid that'll love you, like, and want good, you know, it's like, and want to, like, needs you. There might be another family, a brother, sister, father, mother, that needs a child to love them. I don't know, you know, it's just not saying that cut out people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying reach as many people that are willing and ready. There's people that have the right kind of soil. They just need somebody to show up in their life. And yet we're waiting and we're just stuck because the people we really love, and I've been there, the people you really love, they don't want God. And you can get stuck. And you get so upset because they won't move. That I remember when Elton wouldn't move, I remember just not wanting to pursue God because I didn't want to surpass him in my knowledge of God. And God said, Abby, that's not your job. He said, you need to keep moving forward and pursuing me even if you leave him behind. That's hard, yeah. That's my husband. At the time, he wasn't pursuing God. And God says, you need to grow because on the day that you stand before me, he's not going to be standing next to you. It's me and you. Just me and you. Yeah? So I had to learn. This isn't a heartless thing. God's not heartless. He wants all. None to perish, right? He doesn't want any to perish. But you didn't see him spending a lot of time with the Pharisees, right? He was going after the ones who had a heart that was ready, that wanted him. There are plenty of people that want you. Find them. Let God show you who you're supposed to disciple. And let's not just do hit and run ministry. Let's go beyond hit and run ministry. This determines all of this. Maybe we only have a 2-week lifespan. If I'm gonna live, and even if I live it fully, I might be a bigger target. Does that stop me from flying and being who God asked me to be? We've got to. There's a world that needs us to throw a lifesaver out there. There's a world that's drowning, and nobody's gonna get saved if we don't go out there and throw a lifesaver to them. Yeah, God needs you. And I was thinking about these kids as they were sitting up there. I was thinking, what if I never went to the harbor? Yeah, What if I never went to Harvard? Then Tito would never have gone to that conference where he experienced the presence of God in Kikai. Dalton would still be living the life that he was living, right? Auntie Jody wouldn't have a house, an apartment. What if I never went? What if I just told God, I said, that's too much, that's too dangerous. And then there's other people that we're in relationship with, not just these. That, again, I don't even want it to be like, oh, this isn't Abby. I'm just saying God is calling all of us to have these particular people in your life that I'll never reach. Like you reach prisoners. I hear your stories all the time. That's not a hit and run ministry. You're there all the time for them. You'll be there and you love them like they're your own kids, right? You don't cut them out. It's not like, oh, no, you're not good enough for my time. If you do this, if you let people in your life, it's more than a babysitting job. People like to babysit somebody else's kids. Why? Because you can give them back. When they start acting up, you can give them back. We're called to adoption. They become part of your family. Like Jesus, he doesn't babysit, he adopts. He says, I'll take your mess. I'll live life with you. Never leave you nor forsake you. It's not a babysitting job. Adoption. You become family. I'll stand by you. I'll love you no matter what. And that doesn't mean, like I said, like I tell people, I said, that doesn't mean if they steal from you that you let them in your house. If they keep stealing from you and they will not stop. I might say, okay, you can't come in my house, but I will never stop loving you. You might walk into the world and go and have sex with as many people and go get drunk and stuff like that. And I might not be investing all my time chasing after you. Like the prodigal son, right? The father wasn't chasing after his son. I will continue to pray, but I will always have open arms when you return. I will always be there. I will always be loving you, no matter what you do. God, he loves us, even when we choose to walk away. He's not going to chase after us and say, no, you can't. I'm going to rip you back over here. You're going to stay right here. No. It's like, no, love lets you choose. Love lets you choose. But all eternity is hanging in the balance based on how you live. It's like, and we need to be thinking about other people's eternity too. I'm going to sing this one song. Haven't practiced it. Came to me just now. How about some of my kids come and help me with this?
You to charge it.